Hello everyone, welcome back to TCF Sport. My name is Ben, joined as ever by my brother Stephen. How you doing?
Hello everyone.
I'm excited. I love it. Back talking about Premier League football again. You can't not be excited.
There is nothing as much as important as this.
No, obviously not.
Ever, anywhere.
No. The most important thing in the world.
That summer break is disgraceful.
Would you mean Club World Cup this year? Yeah. No, I'm joking. I'm not watching that.
It pings up on the app. Chelsea and Man City, find out who's in their groups. And I don't care.
No, genuinely, it's... I don't get me wrong, I love football. I know we have obviously do this because we love football, but it is quite nice to have a break sometimes, isn't it? And
well, apparently they play too much as well.
Yeah, well, it is probably going to put Chelsea and City at disadvantage going into next season. I'm sure it's a debate we'll have, or a question that I'll ask further down the line.
So I'm going to be sick next season as well then.
Double sick, because Chelsea as well. Yeah.
Don't care about them either.
No. Bibbidi bobbidi ghost dad. Yeah, get it in nice and early.
You're not all right.
How you been anyway? You good?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well indeed. Have you seen the breaking news this morning?
No, but I've seen you written down the breaking news this morning.
Dan Ashworth has left his role as sporting director at Manchester United, so I thought it was a good place to start, better place to start than any. Do you have any thoughts on it? Obviously, you've only just seen it based on what I've written down, but to me it just sort of smacks of Ineos went after Dan Ashworth for quite a long time to get him out of Newcastle. He was then on gardening leave for longer than he's been at the club at United, because he's only been at United for 5 months. So,
what was he on gardening leave for? Do you know?
Well, it's the same as Edu right now. It feels like whenever you get a sporting director out of a club, especially if you do it mid-season, they take gardening leave for the rest of that season. I suppose probably not to advantage the club that they're going to. That's just how it's been done with Edu, it seems. I don't know about the advantage thing, but he's on gardening leave for the rest of the year.
So he can't, his targets is identified, he can't then go into another club. So he couldn't go back to Newcastle and be like, they're looking at these players, they're really good.
Probably, yeah, in that instance. Especially if you're moving from one Premier League club to another Premier League club. But in terms of what it means for Ineos and Manchester United, it's surprising a little bit, especially because the one thing that we said about Ineos is they've changed a lot of things off the pitch. Probably giving them credit for the things that they've changed. This is quite a significant development or news story that's come out this morning. It is fairly surprising in my view. How it will impact things going forwards, I don't know, but I guess it's just another thing that hasn't been that smooth since Ineos have come in.
Maybe Ruben said, this is who I want in that position.
Potentially,
and they're going to put everything into him just to sack him before the end of the season.
They wouldn't do that. No matter how...
Do you not think so?
I don't think they'd do that.
If he loses the next 10 games in a row, you don't think they'd sack him?
No, I don't think they'd sack him.
Really?
Yeah. It feels like...
If he lost 10 games in a row, they would sack him.
We'll see. I don't think they'll lose 10 games in a row.
How long a contract do they give him? Because he said it's going to be 2.5 years, isn't it?
I'm not sure, but the reason why I don't think they'll sack him is for that reason. Because everyone seems to now recognise that it is a long-term project at United. It is going to take 2 or 3 years to move out the players, as we've said in the last few podcasts, to move out the players that he no longer wants that need to be moved out.
Fan pressure on the day, social media pressure, mainstream media pressure.
That will be the worst one. The mainstream media pressure will be the worst one. After yesterday's result...
Obviously, they're not going to lose 10 games in a row.
No, but after yesterday's result, there's already some questions. A lot of fans have been going, yeah, we know we're going to take results like that. That's completely understandable. But a few... mainstream outlets. I saw Gary Neville he was out in America doing stuff for NBC Sports, commentating or being a pundit on the game, saying that he didn't really understand Ruben Amorim's decisions, substitutions, things like that. So
it's great when failed managers like slate everyone in it all the time. He hasn't put his hat in the ring though, has he?
Gary Neville? No. But I mean,
because it's number one, it's too big a job.
Well, because of his record at Valencia, obviously.
I still maintain they had a nice style of play though. I watched some of their games. I know they got battered in like the Barcelona game, but I watched a couple of games and they had a nice style.
Well, his record, that win percentage out there, isn't as bad as everybody makes out. I don't think
it's just because everyone knows about. Was it 7-0?
So, yeah. Because he again on the Stick to Football podcast, he was talking about how it was 4-0, and Luis Enrique was basically keeping on Suarez, Neymar, Messi, telling them to just keep attacking. Yeah. So it was.
Give the people what they want.
What, sack Gary Neville?
No,
goals. I'm joking. Yeah, I know. With those
goals and humiliation. This is what you did to clubs.
With those three
when you played for Man United. 9-0 against Ipswich, wasn't it?
9. Was it 9-0 or was it 9-1?
Oh, maybe 9-1.
Yeah.
I don't know. Getting old, Ben.
Southampton was 9-0 though, because they had got done 9-0 twice, didn't they?
Yeah. Leicester at home and Man United away. Different seasons though, wasn't it?
Yeah, because one was
consecutive seasons.
Yeah. One was 2019-20. That was Leicester, and then it was the year after. Yeah, I saw an interesting stat about Southampton the other day, yesterday actually, that the last time they went down, so a couple of years ago, they'd already amassed 10 more points than they'd got this season. So
I heard that on Match of the Day, I think, last night.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Well, it just made me think of Ralph Hasenhüttl in terms of, you've always maintained that they would have been okay if they'd kept him. I know a lot of Southampton fans obviously calling for his head.
They would have been okay if they kept him.
Yeah.
But there you go. Did you know that when Southampton play out of the back, 60% of the time, they lose the ball all the time?
Well, that's one of my talking points, and yeah, we're going to get straight into that because obviously Wolves as well.
Are we? Do you not want to continue talking about Ruben Amorim?
I do want to continue talking about Ruben Amorim because on the point of the sporting director Dan Ashworth leaving, you mentioned about what if he loses his next 10 games. Have you been surprised how much he's rotated Ruben Amorim so far this season, since he's been appointed?
Not really. He's trying to find his best team, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean about the whole. If he were to lose 10 games because of how much he's rotating, I get football is a results business, but he is, as you've just said, trying to find who he wants, who he can keep.
And there's also, in some respects, they're auditioning for their places, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're not doing a very good job.
Trial. Well, Onana's gone back to prime Onana.
Yeah, I mean, he's had arguably been one of their better players so far this season, but yesterday's.
Well, we said on here, didn't we? Like, even last season where he improved, he's always got that error in him.
Mistake in him.
And I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White, how he's got the audacity to celebrate.
Well, he said, I think, in one of his post-match interviews that he didn't think it was going in when he hit it, because obviously it was going straight down the middle of the goal. So, but Bruno Fernandes gave the ball away as well.
Fernandes gave the ball away, but come on, that's right.
I know.
Even Taibbi would have saved that. And if you don't know who Taibbi is, look him up.
You've got to know who Taibbi is, surely.
Well, Man United fans would.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, you're looking at early 2000s of that. Old Massimo Taibbi. Although Morgan Gibbs-White shot was hit a lot harder than, was it Letizier's shot for Taibbi, potentially?
Was a back pass. I think it was Letizia, isn't it?
Yeah. His little daisy cutter.
Squirmed through his legs.
And maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but even Chris Wood's goal, it sort of bounced in the 6-yard box. And I don't know if he's lost the flight of the ball, but even the defender as well.
I'd be looking more at defenders than keeper. Keeper probably should have come out and got it. I get that, but Lisandro Martinez at the back post, I don't know why he left it.
Well, he got absolutely savaged for the opening goal.
I know.
That leads me to question, before the game, you surely say who you're picking up. Why is Martinez, who's 5'0", picking up a 7-foot monster?
Yeah. Well,
did you see him? He was literally climbing up him.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think of Star Wars with Yoda and Luke Skywalker like climbing, trying to hold on to him. Use the Force.
But especially after they conceded 2 goals against Arsenal from corners in midweek, you'd think 2 minutes into the game against Forest.
Yeah, but those corners were professional corners. Professional NFL corners. Do you not see how
Stoke City?
Do you not see how Arsenal line up at the back and then shotgun and they just all spread everywhere? Like,
it's all fouls, isn't it? It's fouls.
It's all a Faguzi. We don't know how the ball ended up in the net, but it ended up in the net.
Excited is what it is. We're excited.
It's like Stewie Griffin, isn't it? I get the gist of what you're saying, Stumpy, but I don't know what it is. Oh dear.
Have you also been surprised that Ruben Amorim has been as critical of his players publicly so far as well? Have you seen any of his comments?
I haven't actually seen any of his comments. No, I think that's a good thing. I think that's what they need, really, don't they?
Somebody to call it out. I mean, Jim Ratcliffe was also at a public event basically saying that the last decade at United hasn't been good. So obviously he's correct, he's truthful in that. Ruben Amorim, the public criticism, it surprised me how public he has been with it, because he's been saying specific players when the first couple of press conferences. I think he said Diallo needs to work on his finishing, things like that. In recent weeks, I know, but that's why that side of things surprised me. In recent weeks, following the Everton game, he said even though they won 4-0, there was a lot wrong in that performance. Those sort of comments, I can understand. I think
Jonathan Pearce was saying until United scored, Everton had actually looked like a better team.
First 20 minutes, they had a few attacks and United looked vulnerable.
But Everton just can't score.
Unless they're playing Wolves. But that's because
Wolves scored 2 goals for them.
I know, and Craig Dawson is out.
And one of them was an awful free kick, as in like the wall lining up. Like.
Yeah, but Craig Dawson, having scored 2 own goals to Everton, is now their second top goal scorer of the season.
That's amazing. What I really think is funny about that is, though, is that Craig Dawson's like, no, Dominic, you're not going to get on the score sheet.
No.
You're still going to struggle.
Once.
This ain't scoring ain't for you. See what I just did there? I did what you can't. And I'm a centre half.
Auditioning, isn't he? He wants a January transfer. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, the only other thing that Amorim has said in the last couple of days, which I also do agree with, is he, in terms of when he's talking about United, he said they're a big club but not a big team. So he's just calling out the issues as he sees them.
Good.
And to be honest, that's what the club needs. But they are going to go.
He's come in and said that. There was a manager that was leaving and said that and got crucified for it.
No, I know.
And lost his position as, was he going to be director of football or something?
I think so, yeah, because then he went to Austria after that, old Ralf Ragnick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the issues haven't changed, and they are still... We said this, 2.5 years ago, that they're 2.5 years away from getting back to a level at the top of the Premier League. Yeah. They're still 2.5 years away because they haven't made any of the changes.
And then when they sack this manager, it'll still be another 2.5 years. It was always going to be difficult with Ferguson when he went and that period of domination. Liverpool had the same from like the 80s, didn't they?
Yeah.
30 years before they won another league title. I mean, Arsenal are close to 30 years since they won a league.
We're now with 20 last year, wasn't it? It was 20th season.
Okay, yeah. So not close to, well...
Still 2 decades, isn't it?
Yeah, still 20 years, yeah. And that was with Wenger. So, and we've already highlighted on here, and you actually pulled it up. Look at the amount of time it took Arteta and all the deadwood we had to get rid of. So, just going to have to be patient and suck it up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the seasons where it was just like, 5 games in, you're like, I just want the season to be over now already. Like, we haven't signed anyone in the transfer window. We've now tried to sign some, like, you're putting plasters on category leads and just, I want the season to be over.
Yeah, because you knew what was happening. You knew what was going to happen further
and
down the line.
With social media, and you've got all your mates and they're all like giving you the banter. Oh, you're rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, yeah, I know.
We know,
like, and it's like, oh, you lost to this team. And I'm like, yeah, I knew I was going to lose.
Yeah,
So I think United fans, you've got a little bit of that for the next couple of seasons, maybe. But if they support him and get players in that he wants, be interesting to see what he does.
To play a system.
Because they're the first 2 league games he's lost this season.
Yeah, they are. Back to back. He hadn't lost in, a long time before then.
Yeah.
4 points from his first 12. But as you said, it's going to take time. And I think most United fans are on board with the fact that it's going to take time.
There is a Dutch man absolutely loving this, by the way, at the moment, going, see, I told you. I told you it was your decision in September.
I was about to say the same thing.
You beat me to your punch.
Right, let's move on from United. The first main Premier League talking point that I wanted to talk about, it's not really a main one, it's to cover what we mentioned on one of the last podcasts, the Southampton offside at Brighton. I have now seen it properly because I'm all caught up, and I understand your point of view. I slightly disagree. Basically, I understand both perspectives.
Listen.
I sit on the fence.
Listen, Mr. Corbyn, just pick a side.
Yeah, but it's...
Get those splinters out of your backside.
So Adam Armstrong was deemed to have interfered with play, and I agree that he interfered with the keeper. I don't think he interfered with Van Hecke because Van Hecke couldn't see him, was going to go for the ball regardless. But the keeper's positioning would have changed if Adam Armstrong wasn't there. So I understand why the argument that he interfered with play. The reason why I somewhat disagree with that, though, is because if you take Adam Armstrong out of the equation, I still think that goal goes in.
If you take Adam Armstrong out of the equation, that defender might position himself differently.
No, because they were running back, though.
Yeah, but he's still got to be mindful of... He's aware Adam Armstrong's there, isn't he?
Yeah, I know, but if he was aware that Adam Armstrong was there, he should be 2 yards further deeper anyway, and then he might have stopped the cross.
He's trying to climb offside, and it worked to a T.
Panicking. Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, whether he flicks his leg or not, he's interfering with play. He's running towards the goal because he's hoping that a ball will come towards him, isn't he?
Well, that's why...
That is interfering. Sorry, you're running towards the goal. He's a striker. What's he doing? He's not defending up there, is he?
But if he's not there, the goal goes in anyway.
But he is there, so therefore he's there. He's interfering.
But
with
that's
play.
why I say I understand both sides.
If it was over in the corner flag, miles offside, then you'd have an argument for not interfering with play.
That's why I say I understand both sides. But I bring you back to
your Brian Clough quote. As far as Brian Clough is concerned, if he was on the corner flag, he'd be like, "It's still offside."
I'm just saying, I don't think that they should.
I'm just using your own logic.
I know it's fine. You can use my own logic. I'm not defeated. I don't think they should have overturned it. It comes back to the point about VAR. I think because it was, to me, it was more a 50-50 decision. I could understand why you argue that it was offside, but if VAR hasn't given it, or if they haven't given it on the pitch, I don't think VAR should have overturned it.
I mean, like I said, VAR should be there for offsides and the goal line, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're different generations of football. My generation, that's offside. Your generation, maybe not. And what we'll do is what we always do.
Agree to disagree.
Fantastic.
When we actually do disagree.
And we won't fall out about it.
No, 95% of the time we do agree.
Because, one of us is mature.
All right, moving on. It's convenient talking about Southampton because the next thing I wanted to cover is, do you think teams try and play out from the back too much these days?
Yes, to their own detriment.
Yeah.
Sam Allardyce is spinning somewhere.
Or he's got a podcast, I think, called No Tippy Tappy Football, things like that.
Of course he would, because he can't do tippy tappy football. But he is England's best ever manager.
100% win record. Do you know who scored the goal in that game that we won?
Kevin Davis?
Kevin Nolan, no. It was Adam Lallana. Away against Slovakia in the 90th minute. Might have been Slovenia. I always get those two mixed up. Bit of knowledge for you there.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, but the reason why I asked this question is because coming to last weekend's highlights, Wolves against Bournemouth, how many goals or penalties did Wolves give away trying to play out from the back?
2.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I'm all for. I understand that teams have got to make mistakes playing out from the back, and I completely get that. Arsenal try and play out from the back sometimes, as you know. Most teams in the league do it now. If you give the ball away, it's going to happen, and you're going to concede goals. I get it, but I only understand it if there is a purpose behind it. The Wolves ones, especially the fourth penalty and then the fourth goal that gave away. Craig Dawson. Third penalty and fourth goal. It was Craig Dawson had the ball inside his own third. Not much pressure on him. Hit a channel ball. Don't turn around and play backwards. I don't understand.
Even O'Neill, because I did watch the thing, said I don't understand why he's turning around and playing now.
But it was a couple of instances, because I could compare it to. So do you see the Fulham Brighton highlights in midweek when Verbruggen gave the ball to Iwobi?
Was that for his
first goal?
Yes, I have. Yeah. It was empty net, wasn't it?
He tried to play it to Belieber. Now,
can't believe it.
The reason why I'm talking about, I can understand why teams trying to do it and I can get on board with it, because to me, they gave the ball away, they conceded a goal. But if that comes off, Fulham have committed 5 or 6 players to press. If they beat that press, they're running at Fulham's back 4. And it's like high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Dawson, just what are you doing? You've got no pressure on. Why are you turning around? That's what the difference. I don't understand.
But there's an argument for variation of play, isn't it? Why does it have to be short passes? Why can't you go long from time to time, especially if you've got pace? That obviously we're not professional coaches or players, but still.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, Arsenal against Liverpool in the FA Cup last season, one of the best at it. If he had the ball, not much pressure on him, but he could play back or he could play forwards, always chose forwards. The pass forwards would often just be a channel ball, turn Arsenal defenders round. If you have a runner, it's one of the nastiest things as defenders. It's the hardest
thing to defend against.
Because you don't want to be, as a defender, you don't want to be running back towards your own goal. Yep. The likelihood is, and what happened in that game, which we lost 2-0, the defender will just put the ball out of the play. All the Liverpool players get up the pitch. I know. It's such a simple thing. Yeah. And that's all Dawson had to do, in my view. Obviously, you have to have a runner for it as well, but clip a ball into the channel, turn Bournemouth's back line round. Simple.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't... Everyone seems to be copying each other, don't they? And going back to Southampton, a couple of goals they gave away at Chelsea.
Well, Lumley came in, isn't it? And he gave the ball... Was it Nkunku? Especially the worst one?
Yeah, and then he passed it to Madueke, who tapped it in the empty net.
Yeah.
I saw that. It's funny, because I watched all the goals, all the games. So they showed that goal with Jeff Stelling. He's back! But unfortunately, Charlie Nicholas was at home sitting thinking...
Where's your mask?
Yeah. And Matt Letizia, I don't know what he was doing. He was protesting about conspiracy theories, I think.
On GB News. That's where he was.
So he didn't have any of those. But he did have Tim Sherwood and Dion Dublin. Dion Dublin's not too bad.
Give it one of those.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing, Jeff. And I remember watching it on All the Goals, All the Game, or whatever it was called, the equivalent of Soccer Saturday. And I saw it and I was like, Jesus Christ. I watched Match of the Day the other day, having already seen it, and I saw it again. I went, Jesus Christ. Why am I reacting like that? I've already seen it. I knew it was coming, and then even then, you still can't believe what they've done. So, I mean, enjoy the Championship again. I don't get it. I honestly don't understand it.
Well, they're Burnley from last season, aren't they?
Well, it feels like. But Ipswich aren't as bad as such, but they still try to do it. Like you say, Wolves have been trying to do it a little bit. I don't get it. And they're all, like I say, Sam Allardyce is going to make a lot more money somewhere. because he's going to start like this scheme, isn't he, where he's going to get Premier League managers, going to be giving like seminars. And what you do is you keep it really tight, just knock it long, get a big man up top, knock it long, and then get a couple of runners, and then you keep it really tight, and you really get into it and make it all work. And they'll be all like, this is good stuff. I don't think it's like so. But on another note, talking about Wolves Bournemouth, shout out Justin Kluivert, world class. 3 penalties. No one has ever done that in the Premier League.
Have they not?
No, they showed it on. I think it was Match of the Day 2, where players have had 3 penalties and they scored 2 out of 3. He's the first one to score all 3.
What about John Walters? Didn't John Walters have? Was it 2 penalties or 3 penalties in the game, and he missed both of them against Chelsea, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
He missed both and got sent off and scored an own goal. 2 or 3 of those things are right, I think.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if you triple capital in FPL?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You'd be out. You'd be over.
-20 for me.
More than that, it'd be like -100. Yeah. Right, your season's over. You're that bad. You can't do it. But there was a guy who played for, I want to say, Uruguay, who missed 3 penalties in a World Cup qualifier, I think it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2 were saved and 1 at the bar, I think, if memory serves.
Take him off.
But when he's missed the first 2, like when he's taken the third, I'll be like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, I respect the confidence, but you missed first 2.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, Kluivert's penalties were cold as well, especially against Sarr, who's a fairly decent penalty saver.
That's what I mean, world class.
Are you surprised Gary O'Neill is still in a job after their 4-0 defeat at Everton?
No, I'm not, because they're sort of a little bit creating their own downfall, aren't they? I do think West Ham Wolves is El Sackico between the 2 managers, though.
Well,
so it'll be a 0-0. West Ham absolutely battered Leicester.
31 shots. I did think West Ham were a bit unlucky as well with when it was 1-0.
Hitting the post,
but they also had a goal disallowed. Soucek supposedly fouling the Leicester keeper, Hermansen, which I didn't think there was a great deal of contact in that.
Normally I'm against that, but he knew what he was doing, I think. He backed into him a little bit, made it more difficult. So
fair enough.
He wasn't playing the ball. So yeah, I actually agreed with that foul.
I mean, the ref gave it on the pitch, so it's one of those things. If the ref gives it, then you stick with the ref's decision.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I know we talk about Arsenal. It wasn't Ben White doing that, was it? Yeah. So, and some of the others that we've seen, I think one happened to Alisson at City last season as well, didn't it?
That was really soft. That one. That was really soft.
But I actually I agreed with that one. But yeah, I said Leicester prime Man United, aren't they? Soak up all that pressure and get them on the counter. You can tell Van Nistelrooy's been working with Ten Hag.
Yeah, straight away. That's it. You should lose the game, but you win 3-1. So let's see how long that continues.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah,
they won't care as long as they're picking up points.
As long as they stay up.
They're not because they don't have top 4 aspirations or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, I actually on Ruben Amorim, I said that he won the league at PSV in the last episode. He didn't win the league. He won the cup, and he was only there for a season. No, he didn't do a season and left the season after. He left with a game to spare of the only season that he was in charge, the only full season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I should clarify that I made
So
a mistake.
did we play them in the Europa League when he was manager? Is that correct?
We did, yeah.
Because we went to that game, didn't we?
Yeah. When Cody Gakpo was still at PSV. I think we won 2-0 at the Emirates.
Yeah. And did we either lost 1-0 away or drew 0-0?
No, we lost. We lost 1-0 or 2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was one of the last group games.
Yeah, it didn't mean anything to us.
No.
Cody Gakpo. That name was made for Liverpool.
I know, as we said at the time.
You said, yeah.
Yeah. Crystal Palace, a quick one on them.
Eagles.
Who do you think should start as their number 9? Nketiah or Mateta?
Who's got the number 9 shirt?
I think Mateta.
Mateta then.
Well, based on form as well, though.
Yeah, no, Mateta. I mean, Nketiah's just come back from injury. But he was trying to play Nketiah in that wider position, wasn't he? I've actually been impressed by Sarr, who's playing in that position, which is his position anyway.
And it was at
and they look a little bit more balanced, a bit more complete. So and he's been looking dangerous as well, Sarr, and he looks looking a little bit more creative, a bit more solid, and like I say, just the overall balance of the team.
Which means getting back to closer to what they were at the end of last season.
And what you've written down is spot on. Mateta took his finish lovely the other day.
It wasn't just a dink over Muric to finish it off. It was the 1v1.
Yeah. The strength as well. Yeah.
But that's nice. For me is exactly the reason why, especially at the moment, Mateta should be starting ahead of Nketiah.
And I think that's why they kept Mateta and sent Edouard out on loan to Leicester, who isn't getting a game at the moment either.
No, he wasn't getting a game at Palace. He's now obviously not getting a game at Leicester.
Scored a couple of goals against Spurs though in his debut season. So
yeah, that was
after Nuno got his manager of the month.
Yeah, won the first 3 games and then lost the next 3 games, including one against us at the end of September, wasn't it? So, yeah. But it is good to see Palace. I know they're still down there, obviously, because of the start of the season, but it looks like they're going to stick with Glasner. The fans are still behind Glasner from what it seems.
Well, did you see when they equalised against
Newcastle?
Yeah, where he ran down and celebrated with the players.
It's the sort of thing that endears you, the manager, to the fans, though.
That passion that you want to.
Yeah, and I mean, based on how they played against Newcastle, that game probably should have been out of sight before then. Munoz missed. I know he scored the equaliser, but the chance.
And you put him in team of the week
because he scored the equaliser.
Yeah, but the sitter he missed. I was looking at that because Ben used to text me about, who should we put in team of the week for Instagram? But because he's too busy with it now, he just goes, I'll decide. It's like a bit like a dictatorship. I'm like, it's all right. It's your podcast. You pick the team. And I look at it every now and then. I'm like, hey, like he's put manager of Sean Dyche. Like, what is this?
They won 4-0. He was going to be sacked. Who cares?
Well, in actual fact, there was a fan in the stands with a bit of A4 paper. Dyche shouts like, "Yeah, good luck. They knew you were going to get in." Graham Potter, he won't go there.
He wouldn't go there, no. Well, if Dyche had lost that game based on the run of form that Everton had been on, I reckon he would have been in significant trouble because they've now got. I know they've got us coming up. I think they've got City, Chelsea. They were obviously due to
these days.
They were due to play Liverpool yesterday, which is another game obviously postponed. But they had to beat Wolves based on the next 4 games.
Everton historically have done that. Even with Dyche last season, they had that points deduction. Then went to prime Barcelona.
They cancelled that points deduction. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. In the next 4 games, they won 4 games. Right, it was 12 points gone.
Like, you can stick your points deduction, and now we're going to go back to being rubbish. We're going to go down on our own terms.
Tell me about it. It's weird because before the game against Wolves, I know at the start, after the first 5 or 6 games when we recorded, I said that Everton would be fine. That was based on performances, not really results, because they hadn't picked up many points thus far. They'd also thrown away 2 2-goal leads. The last few performances, though, had me more worried about them. Then they go and beat Wolves 4-0. It feels like they'll probably just stay in that position that they're in at the moment, 15th, 16th, 17th.
They're just yo-yo between that, don't they?
Yeah.
See, Everton, I'm trying to think of another football team in the league. You'll be able to point it out because you're quicker than I am. But Everton, you just don't know what you're going to get with them sometimes. Maybe like a poor man's Spurs, because you never know what you're going to get with Spurs.
Not this season.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like Leslie Chow. Great clip, by the way.
I love
that clip. Great clip.
I thought you might like it.
Oh, it's quality. Because I can actually hear him like when he's doing his singing and everything, like with his parachute on.
Yeah. I mean, we should actually come to Tottenham. I had them later on, but let's come to them now that you've mentioned them. Do you think Postecoglou is under pressure there? And should he be after 3 wins in 8?
When you start having conversations with the fans on the pitch at the end of the game, that to me suggests it's almost the beginning of the end. Like, that worries me with that sort of stuff. Like, well, it doesn't worry me because I don't care because it's Spurs.
Yeah.
But I think they need to, I don't know, have a bit of humility. All right, they're indifferent. But City aren't prime City, but they did them 4-0. Even if they're not prime, like you just don't know what you're going to get with them. You really don't. No.
And some context is helpful. They're blighted by injuries at the moment. Vicario is obviously out for a little while. The worst injuries are the 2 main centre halves. If we were to take Saliba and Gabriel out of our back line
and leave Kivior with, I don't know, would it be Calafiori maybe?
Potentially, but they're both left-footed. It was, just think about the Liverpool game, we ended with Ben White at centre-half next to Kivior, and we conceded, and it was quite a soft goal.
Or even, is the other lad, Dracula, what's his name?
Dragusin.
Yeah. Is he injured now as well?
I'm not sure, but he played against Bournemouth on Thursday.
I think he was saying about how much he's played recently. Like, some of these players have just been non-stop.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't been able to rotate them.
Well, that's what Postecoglou have been saying that. So I think a bit of context is important. I understand fans' frustrations to an extent because they are that inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah. Obviously, as a neutral, as we said in the last podcast, it makes them exciting to watch. I'm quite excited to watch a game against Chelsea because Tottenham could lose 4-0 or they could turn Chelsea over. It's absolutely no idea. And they are very attacking and very exciting. When they get the players back from injury, I do think they'll climb the league again. They'll have a good crack at the Europa League.
I still think, though, that the fans think they're better than what they are. Is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like, they think they should be pushing for Champions League. And Van der Vaan's their main centre-half, but, he's got Antonio hamstrings, isn't he? Yeah. So that's his problem. The speed comes at a cost. Great responsibility.
It's true.
Great power, isn't it? Great power comes great responsibility. So, but I don't know what. But again, who'd you get in? Because you've had Conte and Mourinho, who are arguably top class managers. So who are they going to get in? Ancelotti's not going to come there.
Thomas Frank.
Yeah, but are you going to give him time?
Well,
and again, Thomas Frank. Look at Brentford's form away from home, the relegation at home, league champions.
Well, we should come to them because that's another point that I've got on the talking points. How have you rated their start to the season so far, and how much credit do they and Thomas Frank deserve for how they've coped without Even Tony?
They didn't have Even Tony for much of last season.
Top scorers this year. They're all joint top scorers with Chelsea still to play today.
Who?
Brentford top scorers, yeah.
That's the amount of goals they score at home. But they have to, because like I said on the last podcast, and it did sound stupid, they have to outscore teams, but it's not they're winning 1-0.
I understand
you
the point
score 3, we will score 4.
Yeah, which is, as we said on that podcast and the clip that I did last night, that's far more likely to happen at home because the home fans get behind you. It just creates that environment. But yeah, Wisseren and Mbeumo have done really well. A bit of context as well, again, should go to their away games. They've played Liverpool, City,
but Spurs did
Tottenham, United. I know Tottenham did City away, but obviously Brentford played City at the start of the season before they were in their downturn of form. Arguably, they should have got something at United. You could say maybe they should have got something at Tottenham. The worst game that they probably should have got more than they got. They only got a point there at Everton. That's probably been their, well, that has been their easiest away game so far.
Was that 0-0?
Yeah, but they did go down to 10 men.
There's a red card, wasn't it? That wasn't a red card.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of those things.
But I feel like it's going to balance out over the course of the season as soon as they start.
I mean, that was a good point for Everton. If you're saying Brentford should have won, and yet they're giving Dyche a bit of stick.
Football fans, isn't it? That's the way it is.
Fickle.
Yeah, but I think they've been really good so far this season. I know their away form has been patchy, but they've been able to be patchy because
again,
how
they're
good they've been at home.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
And Flecken is like, oh, Nano has got a mistake in him.
I know, but he's been, credit to him, we criticised him a lot at the start of last season or throughout most of last season. He's been pretty good for
pretty
so far
good
this season. He has been
pretty good.
Hibernian insurance. Pretty good indeed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But do you think Thomas Frank will go to Spurs then, do you?
It's weird because I think rumours continue to circulate about him moving to a so-called bigger club. He's done a few interviews in which I think he wants to challenge himself at some point. You okay there?
Yeah, bigger club. Sideways step in it, Spurs.
Top six club. So-called big six, top six. He's done a few interviews in which he said that maybe one day, but I think he's quite happy and comfortable in the environment that he's in. Still wants to make improvements there. So I think right now, maybe for another season or two, it's okay.
Yeah. Stay where you are. Do the job. What is their end goal? Maybe one day they might get a European spot and have a bit of a European run.
Or a cup run.
But the thing with that is, some clubs, when they get there, like say maybe more recently you've seen it at West Ham, they think it's a divine right to always finish in Europe, and they should always be getting and then pushing on from there. But that's not the way the league works.
No, but they had 2 or 3 seasons where they were in Europe, and they did really well in Europe because Europa League semis, won the Conference League, and then Europa League quarters, got knocked out by Leverkusen.
Exactly.
Who obviously won the league last year.
So, but sometimes that will eventually take a toll if your squad isn't big enough. Maybe not the very next season, but the season after, which they've obviously been finding out as well. So,
yeah,
indeed.
Let's come to Liverpool next. Liverpool, City, and then Arsenal. Leave the 3 at the top of the league till last. So, Liverpool. You've seen the highlights, Liverpool, Newcastle, from midweek. We obviously praise Carragher for his form since he's come in to replace Alisson.
Yep.
You said until he makes a mistake, he should be starting as Liverpool's goalkeeper. Does that mean that you now think after the mistake he made at Newcastle, Alisson should come straight back into the starting 11 once fit?
Well, if Alisson's not fit, then no.
But once fit?
Well, it depends how he gets on in his next game. If the next time he has a really good game, doesn't make a mistake, then you can't, for me, you can't turn around to him and go, he has another 5 games where Alisson's not there, and he keeps 5 clean sheets and pulls off some great saves and saves more penalties, you can't turn around to it. Well, I'd like to think you couldn't turn around to him and go, listen, that mistake against Newcastle, you dropped.
Context again is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last game. If you
So, but if you're saying to me Alisson's fit and ready to go now, then I wouldn't be surprised if you was putting Alisson, because it was, I don't know what he was doing. Like,
unless he thought
the ball was going, I can only think he thought the ball was going out, but then.
I'm not so sure. Or maybe he did think the ball was going out. It's either that, or he didn't think that any Newcastle players would be attacking the back post, which is a bit silly.
When you assume.
Yeah, never assume. Because he could have just Well, he was there, got up and caught it. Even if he punches it, I know it wouldn't look great, but far less likely to concede.
Did you see what he said when he saw him? He went, "Oh, Shah!"
Quite a good finish, though, to Shah.
It was, yeah. Like, I mean, just doing a simple thing in it, just knocking it goalwards. So, but Newcastle, I think, probably deserved a point on the basis.
Yeah. Isak was causing all sorts of problems.
His finish was really good.
Yeah. I
think Curtis Jones's finish was really good. When I saw it again, I was like, should the keeper be doing better? But it was right in the top corner, and the pace of it.
Salah's 2 finishes were good as well. I think I preferred the first one, where after Trent knocked the ball. I know it was quite close to goal, edge of the 6-yard box, but right foot, far post is just a tidy finish.
See, I preferred the second one with his turn, swivel and finish.
Because that was made easier. I know it was still a great turn and finish, but Dan Burn slipped. So
big Dan Burn.
Yeah.
But that was a interesting game, wasn't it?
It was a very good game. Probably the game of the week, that one.
Yeah.
Talking of Salah and Virgil van Dijk and Trent.
Sorry, before you get onto that.
Yeah.
Do you think Van Dijk should have seen red for what he did to Gordon?
I don't think he should have seen red, no. I mean, the argument is, would it have been... It wouldn't have been a penalty, no. I don't know. It wasn't... It was stupid. It was silly, but it was...
Nasty.
Yeah, a massive amount of contact. I don't really know why he's done it.
Sometimes players will do shoulder to shoulder to let them know they're there.
Yeah.
But he got him in the face.
And the ball had gone.
Oh, the ball had long gone?
Yeah.
I think he was quite lucky that VAR didn't look at it, because you could argue it's violent conduct.
Yeah. It was unnecessary.
And again, I don't know why you're getting involved with it.
No.
Like, had that been someone like a Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Granit Xhaka, maybe VAR would have been looking at it.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis Wise, VAR would be looking at it, wouldn't they?
Well, so, talking of decisions in the Newcastle game, do you remember was it Gomez or Konsa on Isak? You know, the potential penalty that wasn't given, edge of the box.
Yeah, it was a pen.
Yeah,
I do know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure when I was watching it, I was like, again, I'm surprised that's not been given, because there's contact.
Yeah,
he's made contact, and it's not like he didn't exaggerate like a dive or anything. Like, no. But the only other thing from that was at 3-3, Newcastle were on a counter attack, weren't they? And the referee blew his whistle, didn't he?
I mean, Van Dijk stopped running, so it would have been. It looked like it was a 3-on-2. It would have been a 3v3. But even then, just let it play, let it go, let it run, see what happens.
Well, do you know the reason behind that, don't you?
Why is that?
Because the referee is a Watford fan, and he knows Michael Oliver's a Newcastle fan, and he's like, nah, you gave that penalty against Knockout. I knew I'd get it in there. Get in.
You're gonna recreate a.
No, because you'll use it as a thumbnail again. Yeah.
Or maybe I'll use me as a thumbnail this week.
Yeah, it's like, give away dodgy penalties against my club. Have that, Michael. Best ref in the league, you wish.
Talking of Van Dijk and Salah and also Trent, come on to that. Rank the Liverpool contracts for those 3 players in order of importance. So which do you think they should prioritise from first to third?
Alexander Arnold, probably Salah, then Van Dijk.
Van Dijk third. Why did you put him in that order?
Alexander Arnold because of his youth, so you've got a lot more years out of him. Salah because he's probably a bit of a pull for the club, like to get players in because they'll be playing with him, because he's, even though he doesn't have the pace, he's still quality.
Like, I think he scored 75% of their goals, or Premier League goals. I saw a stat.
He's doing prime Ozil because of the contract thing. As soon as he gets that contract and the money he wants, you watch him. Like, he's already given them a glimpse of what he'll do, like against Real Madrid with the penalty. So you wait. Clip these words. And Van Dijk again because his legs are gone. Thank you, Jordan. Again, I'd see that as the least important. You can get another centre half in,
but they wouldn't.
People, especially attacking players, would want to come to Liverpool to play with Salah. They wouldn't come to Liverpool to play with Van Dijk, would they?
But can you replace Van Dijk with another centre half? Is there another centre half out there as good as Virgil van Dijk? Yeah,
of course there is. I mean, at one point in time, people would have been saying, Arsenal fans, "Oh, can we replace Tony Adams?" Well, yeah, we did eventually.
Eventually, that's the
Laurent Koscielny. Can you replace Jaap Stam? Well, we did. Vidic and Ferdinand.
But again, it took them a little bit of time.
It will take a bit of time. Someone's not just going to walk in and someone's going to need a bit of time. But Konaté is very good, I think.
Yeah, well, they struggled without him in midweek, and he's going to be out for 5-6 weeks. I think.
And does he play Quansah as well? Is that how you?
Yeah, well, he played. It was surprising how Slot changed the team for the Newcastle game, because he's put Trent on the bench, started Quansah at right back, and Joe Gomez centre half. I would argue that Quansah's a centre back, and Joe Gomez better suited to playing out at right back.
But that is the Dutch way, isn't it? You know, Ajax, they used to just rotate him all the time. So don't be surprised that he's doing that.
No, but then I could also say maybe he was doing that because Quansah started the first game of the season against Ipswich, was hooked at half-time, and Slot was quite vocal that he wasn't physical enough in the first half of that game.
So maybe he thinks obviously it's tactical then, isn't it? Maybe he thinks Gomez is more physical.
Yeah.
Because he was hooked for Konate, wasn't he, at Ipswich?
Yeah. And since then, I think Konate's pretty much made the centre-back berth next to Van Dijk.
I'm surprised he didn't start him, to be honest, because Konate, I think he's actually very close to being their main centre-half.
He's just because of the youth, but he's quick, strong, decent on the ball as well. Yeah.
In a few years' time, I'll be talking about him, like, oh, how good he is. It'll be Carragher saying he's the best centre-back in the Premier League he's ever seen again.
Which we'll come to in a minute. The only other thing I wanted to say before we moved on to that, in terms of their 3 contracts, it wouldn't surprise me if each of them was waiting to see what the other one is offered in regards to terms.
I mean, do they have the same agent? That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Potentially, but it's because obviously they're 3 of the best players at the club, if not the best players at the club. They're all going to be
They're the 3 best friends that anyone ever had.
That was quite good, to be fair. I like that one. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right. They're all going to want to be on the same amount of money, aren't they? So, and the same terms.
Yeah, but then with Alexander Arnold, it's not going to be his last contract. With Van Dijk and Salah, arguably, it may well be their last contracts. So if he's not on the same money as them, it'll still have... I mean, talking about how much money they're getting, they get more than enough.
Yeah, I know,
What
but
moaning about
maybe status within the squad, that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, I know, but what can you spend all that money on? Like, for what? Oh, I've got 10 cars. Great. How many can you drive at one time? All of them have a truck. All right.
On Van Dijk specifically, you mentioned the whole best Premier League centre-back ever. Obviously, I put the question here, is Van Dijk the best Premier League centre-back ever? I put that in because Jamie Carragher certainly thinks so. What do you think?
He's hardly impartial, is he? Played for the club. Said he supported Everton. I think that's a load of nonsense. He's talking... again, I'll quote Bob Geldof, right from the last thing. He's talking an absolute load of bollocks. Like, bear in mind, he thinks Steven Gerrard was the best player ever. So...
Who do you think is the best Premier League centre-back ever? We did the thing recently. I can't remember what you said.
Well, go back and listen to your own podcast, Ben.
It was a toss-up between 4, wasn't it? We had 4 in the
yeah.
I think it was Ferdinand, Vidic, Terry, and Campbell. Adams. I think it was Adams.
Probably Adams.
Yeah.
I think on that, I might have been biased and went Adams. It's definitely between John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, and Vidic, and it's hard between Vidic and Ferdinand because they complement each other so well.
Pair, yeah. I put Stam ahead of Van Dijk as well, and in that category that you just mentioned.
So all those ones you've mentioned anyway are better than Van Dijk. And I see your thing about what Rio Ferdinand said about top-class strikers. He hasn't had to go against a top-class striker every other week. Like, say, at Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Torres, Drogba, and Suarez later, Henry, Bergkamp, Rooney, Van Nistelrooy. Like, all right, Van Nistelrooy is sort of like a fox in the box sort of thing, but even then his finishing was quality. Yeah. There's that goal Real Madrid scored, wasn't it, when he was there?
Beautiful.
The one touch. And the outside of the boot. Please.
Yeah, it was a lovely goal.
And the best thing Van Nistelrooy's ever done is when he was on international duty. He missed the penalty, didn't he? And
Andorra, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the guy had the audacity to celebrate in front of him. He scores and he goes up.
Yeah, it's brilliant, wasn't
it? That was amazing. He got booked for that. If I was the ref, you didn't book the defender.
Yeah. Just because it's Andorra, I don't really know, but
that was just like class. Well done. Yeah.
The only thing that I agree with you in the sense that Van Dijk isn't the best Premier League centre back ever. I think obviously he's up there as one of the best, of course. The thing that I think he's the best at is
playing up players after the ball's gone.
That
moaning. Have you seen how much he moans?
I know he moans a lot.
Every single decision. Oh, it wasn't a foul. There's VAR, Virgil. Like, it was a foul.
I wonder what Steve's opinion on Van Dijk is.
Well, no. If you're talking about best Premier League centre half ever, no. Best Premier League centre half of a generation. Yeah, probably.
Well, the comparison they made on the Six of Football live watch along they did the other day was between him and Company. Would you put Company ahead of him?
Yeah, I would.
Fair enough. That's a lot closer than the ones that you mentioned.
But
previously.
Then, even then, there were different ages because Company's been retired for how many years now?
Yeah.
So there's an argument that he's taken over from Company. Shall we say? Just play devil's advocate a little bit. Who else, centre half wise, has been around him for all the other clubs that we've got? who can you think of where it'd be like, actually, between Van Dijk and... I'm trying to think who else. Man City. Diaz is all right, but he's not in the same league as Van Dijk.
So Pep changes his centre-half so much.
Yeah, I know.
Diaz and Stones.
Ake plays centre-half and plays left-back.
It was, to be fair, they used to compare Laporte and Van Dijk, but then Laporte was moved on to Saudi Arabia.
I'm Eric Laporte, yeah.
That was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah. I do love social media sometimes.
And then, I mean, even in the... Who were the centre-halves at Chelsea at the time? Thiago Silva, was close to retire. So yeah. Even then, I think it's disingenuous to go between Kompany and Van Dijk because they were a little bit...
There wasn't a great deal of overlap between them when they were at their peaks. The only thing that I would say that Van Dijk arguably ranks as the best Premier League centre-back ever for is playing out from the back and just competence and how comfortable he is on the ball. But I think that's just more how the modern game is developed. Obviously, all the centre-halves you mentioned previously were very good footballers, but it felt like sometimes the emphasis is on defending first, playing out second. Obviously, Van Dijk is a very good defender, but he is one of the best both feet that I've seen, just able to switch play like it's nothing. And I always remember Arteta mentioning it. It was a game in lockdown where we lost 3-1 at Anfield, one of the first games of the season, when we were wearing the white kit with like the red marble halls thing.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he wants to get to Liverpool's level, but when you try and press Liverpool, it can be so difficult because they give the ball to Van Dijk, right foot, left foot. He'll break that press by knocking it to Salah, knocking it to Mane, who was at the time. So that he's definitely up there as the best.
Fair enough. That's a fair enough comment.
But I still put the other centre halves ahead of him, especially because I think they're better.
When it comes to defending, well, your main job is defending, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah, the main job is to stop that ball going in your goal, right?
Yeah, of course.
There's Ben's got a book on his nightstand. What's it called? How to Win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Win more games than the rest of the teams.
It's data in football. It is actually really interesting.
I know, but it's a thick book like that. All you need is that one sentence. How to win the Premier League. Win more games than the rest of the teams. Simple. Keep it simple.
Football's a simple game.
It is.
Brings back to the quote, the Johan Cruyff quote as well, that playing football is simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is.
Yeah.
I do love a quote. Yeah.
If there's no football, we'd all be frustrated footballers. You've got to remember, Germany had 11 internationals out there. Was it Michael Owen? I'm a firm believer if the opposition scores one, you've got to score two to win.
Yeah. When they don't score, they hardly ever win. That was another Michael Owen one. Absolutely brilliant. Maybe we should get some quotes from dotted up round the room.
Maybe we should just have our own quotes dotted up round the room. Which of them would be football and which would be Family Guy?
I think most would be Family Guy.
That could be an episode in itself. Football or Family Guy? Then do the quote.
Christmas quiz for you. There you go. Manchester City. Do you think City are in need of a rebuild?
No, they're just in need of a defensive midfielder.
Fair enough. I did still want to do a City keep or sell, following on from the United keep or sell. So, having just said that, which of these players do you think City should keep or sell going next summer? Ederson.
Keep.
Kyle Walker.
Sell.
John Stones.
Keep.
Ruben Diaz.
Keep.
Nathan Ake.
Keep.
Gundogan.
Keep.
De Bruyne.
Sell.
Jack Grealish.
Keep.
Bernardo Silva.
Keep.
Kovacic.
Keep.
Mateus Nunes.
Sell.
Yeah, I mean, he's played a little bit so far this season. The only one that I'd really disagree with is Ederson. I think it's time to move Ederson on, just based on the rumours that he was close to moving on to Saudi in the summer.
He was, wasn't he? And that sort of fell through.
But Pep's dropped him. Yeah, he's now playing Ortega.
Yeah, he's sacrificed him. You're the reason we're losing all these games.
I think Kyle Walker's the reason they're losing some of those games.
But I don't get them. Even I've seen the highlights from Palace, and they're moaning at the ref after. But even that comes from the manager. He walks on and has a moan. Like, he's coming across as a proper crybaby at the moment, like throwing his toys out the pram.
Well, things aren't going their way, so.
And long may it continue. You've won it all by bloody cheating.
Did you see Mourinho's quotes in response to Pep? So Pep at Anfield the other week held up six fingers because he'd won 6 Premier Leagues. And I think
there is something about that. I'm not sure you're going to bring it up. Go on, sorry.
We can come to what I think you want to bring up in a minute. But on Mourinho specifically, Pep was holding it up and made the comparison to Mourinho. He only held up 3 fingers because he only won 3. So Mourinho responded with, yes, but I won 3 without 115 charges hanging over my neck. So I won my 3 cleanly and fairly.
Well, yeah, like with all that money, all those financial rules are coming because of who, Jose? Cleanly and fairly. All right, okay.
On the point that you mentioned about Pep holding up his fingers, were you talking about the...
Have you seen the picture of the extra hand? 115.
So good, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We've said it before, we'll say it again. That is what social media is for. To bring a little bit of sunshine into your life. That was hilarious.
Just leave it for memes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Do you think there's a rift between De Bruyne and Pep Guardiola?
I don't know. I read your thing. Like, you'd know more than I do, but I also don't care. I really don't care.
I thought
Let me speak! No.
That was Delph stopping. Was it Delph or Silva? I can't remember. Good day. I saw...
If you look at some of their signings, they sign some strange players at times, don't they?
I know. But how many games did Delph get under Guardiola, especially?
They played left back as well.
Yeah.
But do you remember they signed... I know it wasn't Guardiola, but they signed Jack Rodwell, didn't they?
Yes.
Ruined his career. Calvin Phillips ruined his career.
I bet Rodwell wish he stays at Everton. Stayed at Everton.
I know. Just some of the players, some of the signings they've made, just so bizarre.
But it felt like maybe because they had money, they were just signing players for the sake of signing players.
I sometimes wonder if it was the English thing as well, as in like you have to have a certain quantity or quota of
Scott
homegrown
Sinclair
players.
is another one. Yeah,
Scott Sinclair was absolutely insane because they signed him after winning the league, and apparently told him you're not starting, and his position was held by Nasri. You ain't going to start ahead of him.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind when they won that league, they won it on goal difference, and it was like, if you're saying that to your player who's in the starting 11, how's he going to kick on and work harder?
Especially Nasri, of all people, who we know could have a dubious work rate at the best of times.
We're not having a go at him because he left Arsenal.
No, it's just
because he was quality.
Player personality. Yeah.
But it was just that mentality. Yeah, that was. And then obviously Man United went, okay, we're going to sign Van Persie because Ferguson obviously wanted to win the league before retiring, wanted to go out on a bang.
Yeah.
So
that's what they did. Yeah, I did think there was something to the De Bruyne and Pep rift rumours before they played against Forest, and then De Bruyne came out, did an interview after that and said there's nothing to it. I've just been struggling with a long-term injury and Pep's phasing me back in. That's all it.
Well, yeah, and he's
take the word for it.
And he's coming towards the end of his career, isn't he? Really? Was he 32, 33?
Yeah, it's what he said. It's probably why you said that he should be moved on in the summer.
Yeah, because of his injuries. Like people will probably think, oh, that's a bit crazy. But if he wants to, if he's happy to be a little bit more of a bit part player and play certain games, but if he wants to play all the time, then you probably have to move him on.
Yeah,
like he was a catalyst for that City team for a good 4 or 5 seasons, wasn't he? And there was times when he was injured, like, oh, that's it, even with all the players they had, that's a massive miss. Now it's like, well, you can actually keep him out of the team. Yeah, but not for Nunes. I was watching the Liverpool game the other week with Dad, and I just said, if he's not hooked at half time, I'll be surprised.
Well, you're talking about strange signings again. I'd arguably put him there. I know he was decent for Wolves, but he was never going to be a starter at City.
Likewise, I don't get that.
Yeah.
But even, not trying to judge him too quickly, but Savinho, like...
Because he looked bright the first, August, September, start of October.
He's direct, but has he scored yet?
He hasn't scored yet, no. Not in the Premier League, at least.
And again, seeing some of his shooting...
Last one on City, before we move on to finish on Arsenal, leave him till last. Jack Grealish, what do you think his best position is? Out wide or central?
Yeah, out wide.
Even though he played central against Forest and City won their first game in 7, whatever it was.
Yeah, well, that's where he's been playing most of the time, isn't it, out wide?
Do you think Pep stifled him a little bit since his Villa days?
I wouldn't say stifled is the correct word. He's got what he wants out of him and how he wants to play. Obviously, he's always under scrutiny because he doesn't score as many goals as maybe what he was doing at Villa. But again, it's a different style of play for him, isn't it?
It's a different style of play. I think also then because teams were more likely to sit back against City. Obviously, Villa have more space. More space means you're able to do more things, score more goals, things like that. It just becomes easier to score more goals, rather.
Since he's been there, it's been an important part of the team. At times, he has been rotated, hasn't he? But that's part and parcel of City, the amount of players they have. So,
yeah. It does surprise me, though, in terms of how Pep rotates. I know he's always made 1 or 2 changes, but he played well against Forest, especially in the central role. You thought, that's it, keep him there against Palace on the bench. Oh, well. That's what Pep does, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and then they didn't win, did they? So
probably be back in for the next game, whoever they got next.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Arsenal to finish off. Corner FC, as we're now known. Do you think it's disrespectful to compare Arsenal to Stoke? Because Berbatov called us the new Stoke City following our win against Manchester United.
Yeah, he's just jealous. I don't care.
No, neither do I.
Stoke City FC, we're representing for you.
All the times we got bullied by Stoke.
Exactly.
It's just a different way to win a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to sound like a hypocrite saying that, but I don't really care because we're winning games.
Everyone's a hypocrite, Ben. Everyone is a hypocrite at some point in their life. It doesn't matter. I'd like us to be a little bit more free-flowing and create more opportunities to score because we're not always... I say we're not always going to score from corners, but we did against Man United. And eventually that probably will get found out. But whatever, you just need to win the game.